Y'all know what's going on. It's time for another episode of Doing Time with Joe. I'm your host, Joe Baker, and welcome back to Yamin Is A Boy. I'm going to give you the conclusion right now, right? Look here, check it out. She's sitting in the VG talking to bruh. And she's telling bruh, she said, look, when I went home the other day, you know, I left visit and I went to the doctor and the test came back and the test results show that it's not good news. And she said, I want you to know that I didn't have any idea what was going on, and if I would have, I would not have been sleeping with you, having sex with you. And he said, what you talking about? You know, he's thinking that she's pregnant or something. That's what he was hoping for. And she says that I have HIV. And he looked at her, it was almost like he was shocked. And he couldn't get the words right. Now, I'm looking from my visitation spot, you know what I'm saying, me and my gal, and I'm seeing, I can't tell what's going on. I don't know what's being said. I just see his face, and his face looks like solid ice. He didn't know what to say or what to do and all this and that. And the next thing you know, I seen him put his head down, and she's continuing to talk, and she's starting to cry and all this and that. And I'm thinking, what's wrong with them? So my gal, she looks over and she said, what's going on? I said, I don't know, I can't tell. So I said, let me walk over here real quick, right? Because this don't look good. So I get up and I go over. I said, what's up, bro? He said, hey, what's up, Joe T? I said, everything straight? He was like, yeah, everything's straight. I said, you sure? And then he was like, yeah. I said, you straight, sis? She's like, yeah, I'm straight, Joe T. Thanks for asking. So I said, all right now. I mean, something wrong, man. You know you can tell me, bro. He said, man, I'll holler at you later. All somber and just down. You know what I'm saying? So I go back to the table, and I'm like, something's wrong. And she was like, what do you think it is? I said, I don't know. Both of them said everything is straight. But I could tell something ain't right here. And she was like, well, if they don't want to tell you, they don't want to tell you. So I sat there, you know what I'm saying, for another 20, 30 minutes. Me and my gal, we, you know what I'm saying, getting into the visit and talking about things we want to do and all, and just laughing and having fun or whatever. And all of a sudden, we hear, you funky, and he smacks her. He smacks her. Then I turn and I see him, and she stood up and she cried and she hollered and she run towards the exit of the VG, leaving. And then he sat there and he put his head down, and then the sergeant walked over. He said, hold up. He said, your visits are suspended, man. Let's go. So they tell him to get up, and they walk him to the back, and I see on his face, he fighting back tears. Now the whole VG is in shock. Like, what just happened? Don't nobody know what just happened. So they take him to the back, and he leaves. And then I go to the desk. I say, Sarge, what's going on, man? Because he know the business. He said, Joe T, I don't know what they got going on. I don't know. He said, but I can't have no inmates out here hitting on no visitors. I said, I don't know all that, Sarge. I said, but, I mean, that's unusual for him, man. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to really grease the wheels and hoping they don't lock him up. But you never can tell with stuff like that, right? So, get back on the compound after the visit. I'm trying to get the bruh. Talk to him. So I tell my COS and my number 2, and make sure he come on the ball field when they clear the count. So count clear, we go down on the ball field. I get him in the back and we talking to him, and I was like, hey bro, what's up, man? What's going on with you and Gab? Then he just started talking bad about it. Nasty this, nasty that. I can't stand it and all this and that. And I'm like, hold up, bro. What's going on, though? What the business is? And he said, Joe T, man. And he started crying, man. And he just couldn't even get the words out of his mouth. So I said, man, let's walk. So me, him, my number 2 and my number 3, we walking. I wanted him to have some privacy away from everybody. And I tell my security detail, man, y'all stand down, man. You can watch us. You don't need to walk with us. I didn't want nobody to hear. Whatever it was, I knew it was heavy. So we get away from everybody. I said, bro, man, talk to me, man. Tell me what's going on. What's wrong, man, so I can help you, man. He said, Joe T, man, she got AIDS, man. She got AIDS. He said, I said, wait a minute. How you know that? He said, she went to the doctor. She got sick the other visit. You remember? I'm like, yeah, when she left. He like, yeah, she went to the hospital. The test came back. It said she got HIV. I said, which one is it, HIV or AIDS? And I really wasn't too educated at the time which one caused the other and all this and that. I just knew she was sick. I knew she was sick. I said, bruh, I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry. He said, man, I don't know what I'm going to do. I said, how you been feeling? He said, I feel all right. Ain't nothing wrong. I said, when y'all went into the restroom, did y'all have unprotected? He's like, yeah. I said, okay. I said, bro, listen to me. You going to have to go to that clinic. He said, Joe T, I don't want to know, man. I ain't going to that clinic. I said, bro, you got to go to the clinic. Why would you not want to know? He said, man, I don't want to know, man. I said, bro, go to that clinic. He said, I ain't going to the clinic. And he mobbed off. And then he stopped and turned around. He said, man, he came back. He said, Joe T, man, don't tell nobody, man. I said, man, we ain't going to say nothing. And I looked at both of them. I said, man, nothing. Nobody outside us know this. It's just that on that. If he want anybody to know, he going to tell them. And everybody, you know what I'm saying, we put it on everything. We weren't going to say nothing, man. And then when he walked off, we standing there, man, we really don't even know what to say. How do you help him? You know what I'm saying? What do you say? You know? So after about 2 or 3 days, man, he bumped down on me, man. And he said, Joe T, man, he said, I'm going to go on up to the clinic. I said, man, that's what you need to do, bro. Because if they find out something wrong, maybe it's something they can do. We don't know what's going on all the time with this medical stuff, man. Maybe it is something they can do. He said, but I feel all right. I don't feel like nothing wrong. I said, man, that's what it is, man. Then that's what we going to hope for. Ain't nothing wrong. He go to the clinic, take the test. They tell him it's going to be a few days before the results come back. But see, then that's when I found out when he got up there. They asked him, why would you think that you had this? And he told them what his girl said. And then they checked with the health department, and she had given the health department his name. And they just hadn't got around to telling him until they needed to test him yet. But they were glad he came up there. So now they got the test, and they go off to the clinic, to the lab. A few days go by. The results come back. He positive. Man, look here, when they had him up at the clinic and they telling him he broke down, man. They had to get the psychiatrist, everybody up there. This brother young, man. He in his mid to late 20s. He young. He just going off. He said, man, why me? Why me? He said, I shouldn't have never came up here. He's saying all this kind of stuff, right? So they called me up there to try to calm him down. I get up there, he shoot off on me. He said, I should have never listened to you, man. Come down, I should have never listened to you. He just going off. And then I just grabbed him. I said, bro, come on, man. And he just broke down and started crying in my arms. And I sat there, man, I don't know what to say to him. I don't know what to say. So after about 20, 30 minutes, he get himself together and we leave the clinic. Go back to my unit, he go back to his. Man, I am in, shock. I don't even know what to say. I get back to the unit, I get to the cell, I tell my COS to step out, I just break down. I break down. I ain't know what else to do, man. I just broke down. I just started to cry for him, man. I ain't know what else to do. I could only imagine what he was going through and how he was feeling about the situation. So after I got myself together and all this and that, come back out, we chilling. I tell my number 2 and number 3, you know what I'm saying, what's going on. They the only one knowing. I tell them, please don't tell nobody. You know what I'm saying? If he want this out, he gonna have to do this on his own, right? So we kept it silent. So after a few days, brother started asking us, what's up with him? They heard he got, you know what I'm saying, that pack. We call it the pack, right? And I'm looking at them like, where you hear that at? And then they talking about the brother that used to be the one we took the flag from that was messing with the boy. He the one spreading the rumor. He done called on the town and found out old gal has been positive on that, right? So he's spreading it around the compound that they was having sex, so he got to have it, right? Not knowing that boy done took the test and got it, you know what I'm saying, confirmed. He just saying because they done had sex. So then we sitting in the cell, and me and my number 2 and number 3, we talking. It's like, man, this boy, he the one messing with them boys. I wonder if he gave it to her and this, that, and the third, right? We don't know what's going on, right? So my COS, my number 3, he bumped down on him. He asked me, he said, you been tested, man? So bro was like, no, and stay out of my business. I ain't been tested. I ain't got it. So bro come back and tell us, no, he said he ain't been tested. I said, oh, okay. I said, that's crazy though, man, because the dude he messed with, I heard he got it. So we started putting 2 and 2 together, And we got to thinking, man, look here. All of this stuff that be going on in the penitentiary, where people be, you know what I'm saying, messing with these boys and messing with anybody, dog. It ain't got to be just no boy. You could be messing with another woman. You feel what I'm saying? So don't get it twisted. And doing all these different types of things while you in here and not being honest with the person that you say you love and all this and that, right? And you end up with something and then you give it to them and there it is. But keep in mind, back then it wasn't no treatment. Keep in mind, y'all, it wasn't no treatment, right? And bro went downhill fast after that. He just gave up. He ended up wilding out and got maxed out, and then they transferred him somewhere. Then he got out on the town. And I ain't seen or heard from him since, right? But I said all that to say, look here, you know, he thought he had done something slick by telling her that bro messed with boys so he could come up with her. Turns out, he came up with way more than he bargained for. This has been another episode of Doing Time with Joe. I'm your host, Joe Baker, and I say peace, y'all.